Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe, and today we are going to be doing a playthrough of the game Stuka Leader from Dan Versen Games. This one is designed by Chuck Siegert and is a new release that I believe is currently only going out to the Kickstarter backers, of which I am one, and will of course after that go out to retailers and be available on the site and all that good stuff. So I did a first look video, so if you have not taken a look at that, you might want to, although obviously this is a playthrough, so you're going to actually see the game being played. So I guess it really depends on what your preferences may be, but the first look video covered the expansions as well, so you can see kind of what the expansions involve. There are 7 of them in total. I won't go into those because this is just the base game. So we're going to start really simple and go through a short campaign. So that's 2 days. So basically it's probably going to be 2, maybe 3 targets, depending on what we get. But it is going to be the Fall Weiss campaign, which is the invasion of Poland in 1939. So the very beginning of the Second World War in Europe. It is an introductory level campaign. So, basically it's the easy guy. It's the starter kit, essentially. So we're going to learn how to play the game. So let's take a look at what's involved in the Fall Weiss campaign. So you can see there's a listing for bandits, and the only bandits that exist would be from the Polish Air Force, the PZL P-11 fighter. And if we encounter any bombers, which do not count as bandits, they classify more as targets. The bomber that would be involved would be the PZL P-37. Okay. Now, on the German side, for the Luftwaffe, we have for our available aircraft the Me-109E, the Me-110, the Ju-87D, also known as the Stuka, and we have the He-111 and the Dornier Do-17 bomber. So those two are bombers. The 111 and the 17 are both bombers. The Stuka is a dive bomber, as you probably already know. And the Me-109 is a fighter. The Me-110 is kind of a fighter / bomber. It's multi-role, a little bit more involved. Now, one thing talking about the aircraft that are available. The 109 and the Stuka are both essentially free. You don't have to pay SO points, which are special option points, and that's kind of the currency of the game and determines what you can bring with you in terms of what you can get for free or what you have to pay for. You have a limited amount, and here in our short campaign, you can see we have 2 days, 9 SO, and 9 fuel. So fuel is also a consideration in this game as well. Now up here we have our SO supply in the supply dump. There are 9 blocks in there, and the wooden blocks and the wooden cylinders were Kickstarter stretch goals that were achieved. This game did really well in the Kickstarter campaign, and so we also have 9 fuel barrels in our fuel depot. There's also this Krankenwagen, which is German for ambulance, and there's 1 medic in there. You can purchase the medic's services for, I think it's 1 or 2 SOs. We'll see that if we need it. But what that will give you is the ability to heal some wounds if your pilots take wounds during the fighting, which is a distinct possibility, of course. Also, we will see here you have special weapons on our campaign card. Special weapons, PC-500. That is a 500 kilo bomb. It is armor piercing. You will have to pay SO points to purchase that. You would also have to pay SO points to purchase the AB-250-2 250 kilogram cluster bomb. Okay, and then on the other side, under the available aircraft, we have reinforcements 1, 2, 3 veteran. So if you lose a pilot, you can purchase a reinforcement for 1, because we're in the short campaign. So the 1-2-3 means 1 SO in a short campaign, 2 in a medium, and 3 in a long. Then our targets. You get a list of targets by number, and those targets basically they're tied to a card. Okay, so we have, in this game, you'll have cards for your pilots, you'll have cards for your targets, you'll have cards for your events. And so these target cards will each, by number, you don't exactly, I mean, I guess eventually after you play a while, you might remember what some of the target numbers relate to, but at first glance on the map, you'll see circled numbers 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 12, 14, 15, etc. And they're color coded, and the colors indicate basically the stress and fuel cost of attacking those targets. If they're green, they don't cost you any fuel and they don't cost you any stress. Now, you gain stress in a couple different ways, one of them being in combat, of course, but you also gain stress for attacking more difficult targets. So if you attack a target that is a red target, for example, number 15, number 20, 30, 38, they are all red. Those guys will cost you 2 fuel to strike them, and all your pilots will get 2 stress just for participating in an attack on those targets. The yellow circled targets cost 1 fuel and give the pilots 1 stress. So pretty straightforward. This is, however, a new wrinkle to the series that Chuck Siegert put in. He's done some innovative things with this game system. This is a venerable system that goes back over 30 years. Hornet Leader was the first one, and I believe Dan Verson did that when he was still designing for GMT, before he branched out and created his own company, which has proven to be pretty successful, in my opinion. His company has turned out a lot of very good, very enjoyable games, of which this one is the newest. So, what else do we need to talk about here? The description: in an effort to gain Lebensraum, and with a belief that the Western parties would continue allowing a free hand, the Germans invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. For adjustments, we're going to remove 6 bogey counters. I have already done that. We have 2 cups here that we draw from. One of these cups has bogey counters in it. That would be this one. One of them has specific aircraft in them, and that would be the other one. Aircraft and sights. The counters for our enemies are 2-sided. The one side will be an aircraft, and the other side will be, or could be, a sight. Some of them would say no sight. But a variety of types of sight. They are organized by year. There are a lot of them. This game came with 10 counter sheets of counters. Probably 2 of them or so, 2 plus maybe, were enemy bandits / sight counters. So there are plenty of them, ranging in the base game from 1939 through 1945. We have an expansion for the Spanish Civil War that lets you go back to 36. We have expansions for What If, which goes beyond 45 and into 46. There are other ones for other fronts, which will also have other bandits. For example, the Eastern Front is not part of the base game, so you don't see any Soviet bandits in this base game, but you do get them in the Eastern Front, of which there are 2 expansions. There are also 2 for the Mediterranean. So the North African and Italian campaigns are both in the 2 Mediterranean expansions, and so on and so forth. So, like I said, there are 7 expansions for this game. There's also an Aces expansion. The Aces can be used in the base game. I am not using the Aces at this time. We will talk about them, and I will probably use them down the road. I am planning on doing probably at least 1 more playthrough, either Eastern Front or Mediterranean, perhaps both. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the community at large receives this offering. So I have blathered on quite a long time. Other things on the campaign sheet: medic 1, 2, 2. So we get 1 medic in a short campaign, 2 in both a medium and long campaign. Notes: first mission has no sights or bogeys due to complete surprise. So the first target we draw, no matter what it says for sights and bogeys, we get 0. So this is going to be essentially a milk run, I guess, is what you might call it. Depending on what we get target-wise, there will not be any aircraft sites or other sites. There will not be any bandits for us to deal with. We have achieved complete surprise. And the target bonus aircraft veteran. So there are targets that will have the keyword pilot. So one of the things you'll see on target cards are called keywords, and they mention specific things that apply to that target. One of them being pilot. And if you get that pilot and successfully destroy that target, you get a bonus aircraft, and you pick up a veteran pilot, basically, is what it is. So that's actually pretty nice, but it's only on a handful of cards. It's not like you get it every mission or anything. So tactical display here in the middle. You can see you have your approaches. You have the target in the center. We have a sequence of play over here. This is what I was talking about with the target cost. Here are our target cards, our event cards, our turn track at the top. And then the aforementioned ambulance, fuel depot, and supply dump. And down here at the bottom, you can see the top half, well, it's really right here, of the aircraft that I purchased. There are 8 of them. In a short campaign, you get 8 aircraft. In a medium, you get 10. And in a long, you get 12. So we have 8 pilots / aircraft down here of varying degrees, and I will talk about them in a moment. But we do get 5. I purchased or selected. I didn't actually purchase any aircraft. I did not purchase any ME-110s, Heinkel 111s, or Dornier 17s because I did not want to pay the SO. I only have 9 SO, and I actually spent, I'm going to spend some of them on pilot upgrades, and I would like to have some in case I want to purchase some special weapons for any of our missions, depending on what targets we draw. So, I suppose I should talk about my aircraft that are selected. So for a short campaign, we get 1 newbie, 2 green, 3 average, 1 skilled, and 1 veteran. There is also legendary, and then you have your aces. Those are the 2 highest categories. You do not get those in these at all. So for my ME-109s, I selected 3 of them. 1 newbie, 1 green, and 1 average. Those are Broker, Gruber, and Hoffman. Those are my 3. So that's these 3 guys right here, and I'll show you what one of them looks like. So this is Hoffman, or Hoffman, as the Germans would say. And I can't really get a good focus on him here, but you can kind of see what it says, right? So up here, we have our average, and the promotion cost to get to the next level, which is veteran, is 4. If he gets 4 XP, he gets to promote, right? Picture of the aircraft, the artwork in the game is very nice. He's an ME-109. It's available from 1939 through 43. Then you get all these numbers here. C is cool. That reduces stress. SA, situational awareness. We'll talk about that when it comes up. HO is horrido, which we'll talk about that when it comes up as well. Same for zeal. Then we have MN, maneuvering. W is the weight it can carry. And R is robustness. Okay, and then down here we have stress level, status, speed, air to air, and air to ground. So this is the range of stress he can have to maintain his okay status. And then speed is basically the sequence in which you get to do an action while you're in combat. Fast would go before slow. So you'll see slow and fast. All of mine at start, I believe, are slow. Air to air, this is a die roll modifier. So in a dogfight, he would get a +1 on his die rolls. Attacking a ground target, he gets nothing. Then if he gets to shaken status, because he's high stress, his air to air will drop to a -1 DRM, and the air to ground will take a -2 hit. The aircraft has 1 weight, and that 1 weight can be a 50-kilogram bomb, a 250-kilogram bomb, or a drop tank. And the FF number is fixed forward firepower, basically. So he's got a forward firing armament, right? Which you would expect from World War II fighter aircraft. So this is World War II. We don't have missiles. Everything's guns. So that's Hofmann. And I'm not going to show all of these because it'll take a long time. So let's look at one of our Stukas and see that he's actually got some extra stuff here, right? So we see the count. I put the counters on there. He's got 1 Horido and 1 Zeal. Let me take those off. This is his fight. This is the counter that we'll use on the display. There's a low altitude side and a high altitude side. That's the only thing that impacts really is like in dogfighting and attack and ground attack. So for now, we don't have to worry about that. But same thing, this is a Stuka. It's available 39 to 43. These are his ratings. The Stuka has a maneuverability of -1. Robustness is 0. Can carry 3 weight. You can see it's available to it can actually carry a 500 kilogram bomb. Rear gunner, the number in brackets indicates it's a rear firing gun. So he has a rear firing machine gun essentially for defensive purposes, and the dive rating. So that is the 2 types of aircraft I have in this campaign. We're going to keep it simple. When I do some of the other expansion stuff, we can look at some of the other aircraft, such as like the Focke-Wulf 190 and maybe some of the bombers, etc., etc. Maybe somewhere down the road we'll see an ME-262 jet, things like that. So you can see I've got everybody lined up here along the bottom. During the game, I'm not sure what zoom level I will use, but that is basically how we start the setup. Okay. Now, part of the stretch goals for the Kickstarter campaign were target cards. So this one is London, if you can't tell. We got the Thames River here, right? And then you have basically a map of London. But there are a bunch of other ones that were included as part of the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to actually put one down depending on what we get for our target card. So following along with the campaign setup, right? So my campaign setup, I selected a short campaign, 2 days, 9 SO, fuel 9, right? We have that set up here. I selected my pilots. Now I can buy skills. So I'm going to buy 1 skill, Ernst, which is actually the German version of like earnest, essentially. It means serious, okay, or earnest, like I said. If you did not participate in a mission yesterday, add +1 to all your rolls during this mission. Right? So that I'm going to buy this and I'm going to give it to broker. Now, the other thing I'm going to do, so that costs me 1. And I'm going to note that down on my campaign player log here once I'm finished. So I'm going to take broker here. Now he's got Ernst. And I'm going to flip him over because I'm going to buy him up to green. Because he takes 7 XP to get from newbie to green. So I'm just going to purchase green for him, which costs 2 SO. So I've spent 3 of my 9 SO, leaving me with 6. And that's all I'm going to do. This is a short campaign. I don't have a lot of SO points, and I don't really... this is an introductory one, so this is pretty easy. And I don't want to go overboard spending a bunch of SO points. So I'm going to note that I spent 3 SO, leaving me with 6 to start. Okay. Now on here, I won't zoom in. If you've played any leader game, you're familiar with this player log, right? You list your pilot, his rank, and XP to promote in here, and then you'll track SPs in here. If he has cool, you'll note that, and then we have a zeal column in here as well because of zeal being added to the game. But you use this to basically track his status as the campaign goes on. You'll note the target number will go in here, and then you'll note who flew on that mission and what kind of stress they took, etc., etc. So the thing is, typically we have 8 pilots, right? Typically you won't fly all 8 every day because they generate stress, and you'll end up with shaken or unfit, which is worse than shaken, and end up with pilots who can't participate at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to do, we're going to draw, well, let's see, campaign tracks, SO points, we did all that. We set up our targets. I already drew them all from this list and shuffled them up. I did the same with the events. We selected our pilots. I bought my skills and promotion, and we are ready to... I could buy more fuel, but I'm not going to. And that's it. So once we filled out our player log, now we get to our sequence of play here. The first thing on here is draw target cards. Okay, so we're going to draw our target cards, and it's based on this number here under recon. So it's pointing at the 1. We get to draw 1. So we're drawing 1, and we have to do that target. Or we can elect to pass on the day, but that doesn't That's not worthwhile because the day counts, and it's a 2-day campaign. And to get at least an adequate score here, for our victory terms, we need 4 victory points. And if you pass, you're getting 0 victory points. So we're going to do whatever this card is telling us to do. So we're going to draw our card, and it is troop column. Okay. So this would be the number of bogeys, and this would be the number of hits necessary to kill it. That's its target number. We have a little picture here. Okay, then in here it'll tell you 2 victory points. You get to move recon and intel tracks by 1 at the end. Sights, there would be 2 at the target, 1 in each approach area, and 1 bogey in each approach area. However, campaign special rule is first mission has no sights or bogeys due to complete surprise, so we can ignore this for this mission only. Then we have our keywords at the bottom. Secondary, which means if I had drawn another card and it did not have the secondary on it, then I could draw a card for a secondary target, and this one would qualify. However, this is going to be our primary target. It's a soft target, which means some munitions are better suited to attack soft targets. We'll talk about that in a moment. And it's 1 turn less than normal. So it's a shorter mission. It's only going to be 4 turns instead of 5. Overkill, it takes 6 to kill it. If we get 7 or more, we get an extra SO point. So that is our target card for this mission. Now I'm going to pull a target card out here. This is one of the Kickstarter add-ons, and we're going to use this guy here because it's kind of like a, overhead view of just, kind of a rural countryside kind of thing. And we're going to use this for Poland, where our troop column will be here in the center. We're supposed to take this counter here, this target counter, put it on our map pointing at the target that we're using. I guess I'll do it right here. So we're attacking 32, which is kind of in the middle of Poland, it looks like, sort of. And it's a troop column. And so that will be in here in the target area. And we are going to... So now we need to decide who's going to... Well, let's follow the determine and place sites. Okay, we don't have any sites, so we're not doing that. Assign pilots. Okay, so honestly, this is a 0 fuel, 0 stress mission. And it doesn't cost, there are no sites, no bandits, so the chances of getting any stress are very, very limited. Therefore, I'm going to take all 5 of my Stukas, and I'm not even going to use my ME-109s because we won't need them. And I don't want to have 8 aircraft to deal with. I'll just deal with my 8 Stukas. So I'm going to actually slide my 109s down so they're out of the picture, and we're going to use these guys right here. Okay, so once we do that, we go to the prepare for mission. Okay, so now we're going to allocate our weapons and drop tanks to each of the aircraft selected for this mission. We'll place each weapon counter on or next to the aircraft card that you wish to assign it to. The specific ordnance you choose will depend on the combat role you expect each aircraft to perform. The number and types of weapons your aircraft can carry is limited in several ways. Weight points per aircraft, the weapon list on the aircraft card, the weapon list on the campaign sheet, and any special option points required to be spent on special weapons. Non-special weapons do not cost SO points. So what that means is unless I take the P500 or the AB250-2, all my ordnance is free. Okay? When planning which weapons to equip your aircraft with, it's worthwhile to think ahead to where the aircraft will begin on the tactical display in the over-target step, as well as the locations and capabilities of enemy sites. Once your aircraft are equipped, record the number of SO points you have spent on the player log. Okay, and then there's a situational awareness. I only have 1 pilot who has situational awareness, and he's an ME. He's a Messerschmitt fighter pilot. He is not in this mission, so therefore I don't have to worry about the situational awareness. Zeal counter, that is on the pilot card for those that have it. That would be Puffer, Heitzmeier, and Langa. And Horido, we have Horido counters on Hermann and Heitmeyer. Okay? So then if we expend our Horido counters, we do not get them back unless we destroy a target with the Horido and or pilot notation. Now, we talked about the pilot notation and how you get a bonus aircraft if you destroy a target with that. Now, that does not apply to this. We do not have the pilot or Horido keyword on this target, so we don't have to worry about that. Just something to think about for the future. Okay, place the medic counter. I already did that. So basically, we're ready to pick our ordnance and get started. So I'm going to pick the ordnance, and I'll tell you what I bought. Or in this case, I'm probably not going to buy anything. I'll think about it, maybe buying the cluster bomb because it's a troop column, which is a soft target, which the cluster bomb would probably be really nice and effective for. But I'm going to pull those out, and I'll show you what I've got here in a second. Okay, so I pretty much equipped all my Stukas the same exact way with 3 SC-250 general purpose regular old iron bombs, right? 250 kilo bombs. You can see 7/10, 7/10, 7 or higher will be 2 hits. So basically 7, 8, 9. I mean 1 hit. Sorry, 7, 8, 9 is 1 hit. A 10 would be 2 hits. Okay, 10 or higher, because you will get you can get die roll modifiers on those, right? But I did buy one special weapon just to kind of show how that mechanism works. So here we have our AB-250 cluster bomb. You can see S+1 on here, indicating that it gets 1 extra damage on a soft target. Now the 1 in the corner up there is the weight, but also the SO cost. So it cost me 1 SO to buy this. I only bought 1, and I put it on Heitmeyer, who has a +3 air to ground. So he's actually my best pilot. And he's going to get to carry the cluster bomb. So everybody else has 3 SC-250s. Heitmeyer has 2 SC-250s and 1 AB-250. So following along in our player sequence, here we have pre-flight. We've done all of this. We are now at our target-bound flight segment. That is where we are going to begin. As you can see, the first thing here says draw a target-bound event card. Here's our event card deck. So we draw a card. Now you have the inbound target-bound card event, over target event, and outbound back to home base event. Save this card, discard to re-roll any die roll. So I'm going to put that right here. Lucky break, Gluck. Right? One of the neat things that Chuck did with this game, which I really appreciate as someone who actually took German in school, is that he put the German stuff on here. So it's a little bit of a little nice realistic nod, a little chrome, so to speak. I mean, obviously there's English all over the place. It's but I appreciate that. It's nice. All right, so we got that. We go to place aircraft and choose altitude. Okay, so for this, we place all of our aircraft counters in one of the pre-approach areas. So this is our pre-approach areas, right? All of these areas around here. So essentially like northwest, west, southwest, south, southeast, etc. All the way around, right? Your basic compass rose kind of stuff. So let's put... now we know Germany is west of Poland, so I'm going to mainly just come in from here. Not that it really matters, but that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to put 2... in a direct west approach. I'm going to put 1, 2 in a northwest approach, and 1 Langa will come in from the southwest. Okay, so our pilots have been placed in their pre-approach, and so now we would remove the proper number of fuel barrels. In this case, this mission does not cost us any fuel, so we are not removing fuel barrels. And so now we will move on to the next step, which will be determine and place bogeys. We don't have any bogeys. That's a campaign special mission that the first mission Has no sights or bogeys because the Luftwaffe and the German forces in general had achieved complete surprise. So the Poles were caught napping, and unfortunately for them, they were not able to put up a defense here. Okay? Intel air defense adjustment. So we have a no change over here. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. -1 bogey, we have no bogey, so it does not matter. All right, draw over target event card. So we move on to the over target event, which is the middle one. This mission reduced one pilot's air-to-air stat by 2. Okay, well, that's not really going to have an impact on us anyway. I'm just going to discard the card. Shaken is what the event is called. And we'll say that we'll have it go to, I don't know, Hoffman. He's got a +1, so it'll become a -1. So no big deal, right? So we've done that. Place turn counter in the 1 box. It's already there. I already put it there. Now, over target resolution. Okay, so the whole dive bombing thing is new to me, but basically what we're going to do is we're not going to do the dive bomb to low part yet. That's over target, so we're not going to worry about that. Fast pilots, I don't have any fast pilots. Sights and bandits, they don't have any. So slow pilots attack. We don't have any attacks. Aircraft move. So everybody's going to move. So he's going to come into the south approach. These two will come into the west approach. These two will come into the north approach. That is my strategy. Has no impact in this event because we have no bogeys and no sights. Okay, but in a normal mission where there is enemy presence, you'll have bogeys around, and you'll have sights around, and you'll have to handle those, and so on and so forth. Probably in mission 2, we'll see that when I'm assuming that there'll be bogeys, and I'll be using my 3 Messerschmitt fighters as part of my force, and we'll maybe have some dogfighting and get to see the dogfighting sequence, which in this game is kind of new to the system and not what was used in the older leader games. Now, I did not play Zero Leader, so I'm not sure if that existed in Zero or not. So it may. So I could be completely off base here. I just think it's new, but maybe it isn't. So because Chuck also did Zero Leader, so he may have put dogfighting in that as well. I am not sure. Because I did not buy that one, although I'm not going to say I won't, because I have 5 or 6 different leader games, and I've really enjoyed all of them. And I'm digressing. I'm sorry, but just a mention there. All right, so aircraft move, bogeys and bandits move. Nope. So now we will move to turn number 2. Okay, again, we're not going to dive yet, but we're going to come in. We're just going to skip to the movement, and everybody's going to be over target now. Okay, so we're all over target. So now on turn 3, that's when we will actually do our dive. So now we go to turn 3, we go to dive. So we flip all these guys to low. Fast pilots, we don't have any. Sights and bandits, nope. Slow pilots attack. Okay, so now we get to attack. So you would perform dogfighting, etc. Pilots can expend weapons to attack the target. So that's what we're going to do. Each pilot attacks individually and may only attack one target. We only have one target. Declare and resolve the attack for one pilot before declaring an attack for another pilot. Pilot's limited to which enemy units it may attack based on its current position, altitude, and weapons load. Each turn, a pilot may declare one enemy to attack the target with one or more air-to-ground weapon counters, provided they are in range, and the aircraft is at the proper altitude. Attack the target with a gun attack if the aircraft is at low altitude, has forward-facing guns, and is in the center area. Attack one site with one or more air-to-ground weapon counters, provided the site is in the range of the weapon and the aircraft is at the proper altitude as indicated on the weapon counter. All of our weapons here, just to show you, is low. The L here means low. Okay? So we will attack. I will start with Longa. Here in the bottom, we'll just go around this way. So Longa will be performing the first attack. Okay, so as is fitting for a really introductory level thing here, since we have no enemy opposition, we're going to do our attack runs. Okay, so with Longa here, now he also has a zeal counter, so we'll talk about that as well. That won't really probably take effect in this particular mission, but he does have one. So here we have Longa's card, okay? You see dive +2. He's also got a +2 air to ground. And he's carrying 3 bombs. So we're going to roll 3 dice because we're going to use all 3 bombs. You have to roll a 7, okay, for a hit. 7, 8, 9 is 1 hit. 10 or above is 2 hits. Right? Now he's going to get +4 because he's going to get a +2 from his air to ground skill and +2 from his dive skill. So we really only need to roll 3s to get a hit. So let's roll our dice. I have my 2 gray dice here that were supplied with the game. I'm going to roll 2 of them, and then we'll roll the third one separately. We get a 1, which is a miss, and a 6, which is a hit. So that's 1 hit on the target. Now we will roll this die again and get a 9. A 9 is going to be 2 hits. So he scored 3 hits on the target. We have our handy-dandy hit counter. So I'm going to drop this on our target card. Just like so. All right, so he's got 3 hits. That's Longa. He's done. So Longa is done. He's expended his 3 bombs. They're all gone. So I'm just taking them off his card to indicate. I'm going to leave his zeal because he has not used it. Because you carry that over until you do use it. Now we have Hoffman, who has, or Herman. I'm sorry, Hoffman. Hoffman's later. Oh no, he's one of my 109 pilots, sorry. So Herman is actually skilled. He's pretty good. He's got a +2 and a +2 from air to ground and his dive. So he will also need a 3 for a hit. He's also got Horido, which we could use to just have an automatic roll of a 10, but I'm not going to use it. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. He's got the same 3 pieces of munitions here, same 3 SC2 50 kilo bombs, regular old iron bombs. So we're going to roll for him as well. And we get a 5 and a 3. Those are both single hits, so that's going to up it to 5. And then we get another 5. So all 3 of his hits, that is 6. That is enough to destroy this target. Okay, so I'm going to drop the 6 on here. 1 more hit will actually destroy the target. So that was Herman. And I said I was going to go in this order, and I lied, apparently. Let's just put, well, we'll just leave Herman there. So Herman is also going to slide them in this direction after they attack. So Herman is done. Now we got Heitmeyer. Heitmeyer's got the cluster bomb. And again, this is Heitmeyer right here. So he's going next. He's got the cluster bomb, which gives us a +1. And then we also have our 2 regular iron bomb 250s. So they're all 250 kilo, but this is a cluster bomb. So it gets a +1 for damage on a soft target, which is kind of big deal here. So again, we're going to roll. Heitmeyer gets a +3 and a +3. So he is going to definitely hit. He gets the aircraft, which is the 0, I think, which means that's a 10. So that would be 2 hits and a 5, which would be 1 hit. And then if we roll another die, we get a 1, which is a miss. But he got 4 hits. No, actually, the 5 would only be 1 hit. So he got 2 + 1 is 3. That's 3 hits. There's going to be an extra, well, I didn't really designate which one was the cluster bomb. But here's the thing. It's overkill no matter what, right? So if I drop the 4 on here, right, it's 10 total hits now. Here on the target card, you see overkill 7+, gain 1 SO. So we're going to gain an SO point at the end of this. And we're done. I'm not gonna use Homan and Puffer. They don't need to attack. The target has been completely wiped out. And so now we're going to we'll go to turn 4. And that is everybody moves out. So back to the west, I guess, right? Back to the west. Everybody's going home. All 5 Stukas, they're going home. And then in turn 5, they would be out here. And that's it, right? So now we will do our homebound flight. So we draw another event card for the homebound leg. Pay 5 SO points to remove a total of 10 stress from the pilots in your squadron. I don't need to do that. None of our pilots have any stress because this was a 0 stress mission. I could have used this to re-roll a die. I didn't do it. It's fine. All right. So we do that. Wounded pilots and damaged aircraft roll for safe landing. We didn't need that. We don't have any wounded and we don't have any damaged aircraft. This was basically just going through an air-to-ground attack. That's all this mission ended up being, which I think is still useful for you as, you know, looking at how the mechanics work if you're unfamiliar with the series or this, and especially this game in particular. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the second day as a separate video because it'll be a different mission. There will be sites and bandits, I'm sure, and that will be a more representative of, you know, what the game actually kind of looks like in a normal day or normal mission. You know, this one was a good kind of cake run introduction. I did the campaign intro sort of, and, you know, talked about all the different setup items and so on and so forth. So in day 2, we won't have to deal with any of that. We're just going to go right into the game. So post mission stuff, debriefing stuff. Let's talk about that. Okay, so debriefing. If the target was destroyed, set the target card aside until the campaign is over. So we're going to take our target card and I'm going to put it out. Okay. If you don't destroy the target, it gets shuffled back into the target deck. We don't need to worry about that. Okay, so we look at our card here. As I mentioned, we get, well, this was only a 4-turn one, so we had 4 turns to attack the target, right? So we get 2 victory points, and the recon and intel tracks move by 1. So we move those up here. Okay, so next time for our next mission, we get to draw 2 target cards. We still have no change on our bogeys or anything like that. Record mission outcome. So I'll do that here in a moment. If we use a drop tank, you would be able to use, you'd get a -1 stress. That doesn't apply. Pilot stress recovery. After target stress points are applied to each pilot, reduce the total stress by the cool number, which, again, we do have pilots with cool, but nobody got any stress, so we don't have to worry about applying cool. But just to show you what the cool point looks like, it's right here. So Herman, for example, would get a -1 at the end for any stress he may have accrued. And even in a case like this, if this had been a later mission and he came back and had no stress from it, he would still get to apply his cool to whatever stress he had already accrued. We do that, then you can do priority R&R if we wanted to. There's a schnapps counter, which allows you to, you buy it, and you can use that to remove 2 stress from all your pilots. So it's, I think there was a Saki one in the 0 leader, I believe. Like I said, I don't have 0 leader, so I'm not sure. Okay, so record pilot experience and stress. So every pilot will get experience. So they get +1 experience points. If the target, they automatically get 1 for the mission, right? Then if the target was destroyed and no friendly pilots were lost, each pilot gets 1 additional experience point. And you can also gain some from your target card, which is not the case in this particular target. Talks about destroying an enemy counter, like in a bandit. Basically, you get a victory for air-to-air victories. Destroying a legendary bandit or scoring the final hits to destroy a target counts as 2 victories. Okay, so the one who destroyed the target was actually Herman. So he would get 2 victories. So I will fill this out and then I'll show it and then we'll just wrap the video because we're not going to have any promotions or anything. We don't have any heals and it's not healing to do and it's not the last part of the campaign. So we don't have a campaign resolution yet. So I'm going to record this real quick. I'll write it down and then we'll come back here in a second. It'll be a second for you guys and we'll talk about it and wrap it up and we'll, wrap up the video and I'll prep for the second mission. Okay, so here's our log after first mission. So these are my Messerschmitt pilots. They did not fly. So they do have their cool and zeal reflected over here, but nothing for attacking number 32. Down here at the bottom, you can see actually you can't see it. I'll move it up when I get to that. So here are our 5 Stuka pilots. Longer. Everybody gets 2 XP. Hermann gets 2 victories for destroying the troop column. He inflicted the last blow that actually destroyed it, and then Heitmeyer kind of added on to get us our overkill, which gave us an extra SO point. No stress. So down here at the bottom, let me move this up. So down here at the bottom, we started with 6. We used 1 to buy our cluster bomb, leaving us with 5. It's the D for the target status. It was destroyed. Actually, X. I wrote D, which means damaged in this case. That should be an X. I'm going to fix that. 2 victory points, and we did get an SO, so I kind of noted it there at the bottom, and I wrote a 6 for our starting SO for our next mission, which will come up in the next video. I will do the second mission from this just to kind of show how a more normal mission would go here in the base game. And then we'll move on to the expansions, and we'll talk about I'll probably do something on the East Front first, and then see how things go time-wise and interest-wise. If I get enough views, I'll do something on one of the other expansions, either Spain or the Mediterranean. Even both, in theory, are possible, depending on how popular these are. The first look got a pretty decent amount of views from my channel, at least. So I think it's about 400 right now, which is good. That's really good for me. But in general, you guys will determine kind of how far this goes. So that's going to do it. As always, thank you for watching. I definitely appreciate you guys taking your time to check this out. I hope it proved useful. I hope it proved interesting and useful for you if you either are a fan of the Leader series, have Stuka Leader, maybe you ordered it hasn't arrived yet, and you just want to see it, etc. Chuck has done his own videos on this, which are good and highly recommended to watch. If anybody knows the game, it's the guy who designed it, right? So I may or may not have screwed up. I'm hoping if I did, it was only minor and here and there and not a bunch of stuff, but I'm sure I'll hear about it if I did mess things up, which is fine. So yeah, that's going to do it. Until next time, I'm Joe. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, etc. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. Until next time, this has been Hexed Encountered. Happy gaming.